So our third video on these inequalities is solving linear inequalities. So this is the same as solving linear equations, except that, one, the solution set is an interval instead of just a single number, and two, when you multiply or divide both sides of an equation by a negative number, you have to reverse the direction of the inequality. So less becomes greater than becomes less than or equal to becomes greater than or equal to becomes less than or equal to, like that. That's when you multiply or divide by a negative number, not when you subtract a number, when you multiply or divide by a negative number. So the trick to these usually is just don't ever do that. Because then you could just follow your rules for solving equations. As long you can divide by a positive number and you don't have to worry about this inequality changing signs, changing directions, right? So I'll show you, there's 4 ways of doing this. I'll show you, I think it's in the next video, the 2 that I would recommend. You can pick one. So negative 2x is less than 6. What does that mean as far as x? It means x is greater than negative 3. See, I divided both sides of the inequality by negative 2, which meant that I had to reverse the direction of the inequality. Okay. The following would be wrong. A lot of students write things this way, and if you turned in this class, if you were turning in work and I was grading your work, or had a student grader grading your work, which is more common, I would mark you wrong for doing steps that are wrong, even if the answer was right. That's because the logic is the most important thing, and your logic would be wrong. This is wrong. So this is the problem with these negatives, is you can't just, like equations, just write over something willy-nilly. If it's negative, you can't do that because this inequality is already going the wrong way. When you divide by negative 2, you have to change this at the same time, not the next step. Otherwise, because this is not less than this. You're saying something that's false. If this is less than this, then this is bigger than this, not smaller. So this is wrong. Sorry, it just is. And then reverting it again, see, the problem here is this isn't the same as this. So this is not the same as this, and this is not the same as this. Because this would be the same as this if the inequality were going the same direction. So you switch the inequality direction too late, one step too late. And so if I were grading this like on a written test, I would mark you wrong for this, and I would mark you wrong for this. You'd miss 2. Whether it was 2 halves or 2 points depends on how I assign the points for that problem, which usually depends on how long it is. The longer the problem is, the less each step is worth usually. So I'm just writing this out and explaining it to you. These are not the same thing. Okay? So it's actually 2 mistakes made, 2 wrongs making a right, but you still get -2. So I want you to do these right, even though I'm not going to see most of your work, because if you do any math at all in the future, these kinds of reasoning things can mess you up. Plus, you're supposed to be reasoning all the time when you're doing math because it's helping with your reasoning skills, even if you don't ever need to use the actual math. It's improving your brain. So I'm just writing this out so you have this in your notes. It's really important. It's also a pet peeve of mine, which, let's not worry about the definition of pet peeve too much. Okay, so that's that section, or that video.